And welcome back. Joining us now is a very special guest. He's a guy who has ties to both of this year's World Series teams. He's a WIU graduate, a former Cubs and Indians pitcher, and a Camp Point native. Paul Reuschel joins us now. Good morning, Macomb. Mr. Reuschel, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you.
Let's talk about your time at Western. You played baseball and basketball here. How did spending time as a Leatherneck athlete prepare you for your future endeavors in sport?
Well, it was tough doing two sports and trying to keep my grades up and everything else, but it just taught me perseverance. You just have to get through whatever you have to get through, and that's the way it was when I played baseball. You just kept plugging.
Now, after a stint in the minors, you finally got the call up with the Cubs. Talk about how it felt to get that call and to be able to play at Wrigley Field and be able to play in the major leagues.
Well, I've been a Cub fan since I was 2 years old, so when I got drafted by the Cubs, I knew that I was going to sign. I spent 7.5 years in the minors, like you said, and I got the call. My manager called me up to the front of the plane when we were going home from a road trip and said, when we get back to Wichita, pack your bag, you're going to Chicago. So I could have knocked me over with a feather. But when I got to Chicago, I put on the Cubs uniform and I walked out onto Wrigley Field, and just walking onto that field in the Cub uniform made 7.5 years worthwhile. It was great.
And you also played for Cleveland. I know you said you were a Cubs fan, but was there any type of conflict of interest at all in your rooting for the World Series this past year?
Oh, not too much. A little bit. Like I told people, since I got to play for both of them, I was going to win no matter who won. But I'd been mighty disappointed if the Cubs hadn't won.
Now, what was your favorite memory overall when you were here at Western?
Here at Western, probably meeting my wife here. She was a freshman when I was a junior, and actually the guy that broadcast the basketball games at the time had dated my wife's stepsister. So he introduced us, and that was a pretty good memory to have.
Now, who are some of your favorite teammates that you had a chance to play with over your playing career?
Oh, well, but by far the favorite was my brother. But my roommate for 3 years, I hate to say it because he defected to the Cardinals, was Bruce Suter. So, I learned a lot from him, and he was fun to be around, and I had a lot of good friends. I don't know, just lots of them.
Now, you talked about your brother, Rick. How was it to be able to play with him? Of course, he was in the majors as well, but you guys were on the same team as well. You're the only brother duo to combine for a shutout. How was it playing alongside your brother in the majors?
It was great. We always got along good, and we purposely didn't room together because we wanted to meet some other people too. So, but it was fun playing with him. I really enjoyed it.
And I mean, a great year for both of your former teams. As you said, you're going to win regardless. Are you expecting a little bit more of the same next year between these two?
I don't see why not. Both teams have a lot of good young players, and it depends on what free agency does to them and others. It could make a difference, but I can't see that the Cubs won't be back next year.
All right, we thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thanks so much for spending time.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and stay tuned to Good Morning Macomb for our final word after the break.